So this is about my channel rebrand. Sort of hitting my 1 year channel anniversary. I started my channel 2 years ago, but it took me about a year to just get all my mental stuff in order and start figuring out how to do this. And then I started doing it after I created the channel about a year. So it's actually, my channel's 2 years old, but I've only been doing it for about a year. So it's my 1 year anniversary. Started it in January, but it's February now, so a little bit over the 1 year anniversary. But finally think I'm tuning down into what my channel's name needs to be, because my channel name, Harmony Nexus, it's just been a placeholder. I started it from the beginning realizing that channel name was just a complete placeover, that hopefully I'd gain a community by then, and maybe we'd have some back and forth and decide what we want this channel to be. But of course YouTube and the algorithm and people's social algorithms, and not digital social algorithm, their own sociological algorithm, that just everything's screwed up in the world right now. So, and I ain't taking that at heart or nothing, I ain't taking that personal, but, yeah, it's a little disappointing, but whatever, it's all good. I'm still doing my thing and it's working for me, and yeah. So I got this fun little play on words that I realized makes the perfect channel name. Because I don't know where I got this, but I was thinking about my name, and I was thinking about stoner shit, and about stoner movies. And the one stoner movie I have not really seen, or I saw years ago, when I couldn't appreciate it and only saw bits and pieces, that's probably more what it was the film Dazed and Confused. And so I realized, okay, my name is Sage, and this is a complete, contradiction for most people. Most people working in the dualistic brain, they're gonna hear this play on words, and then they go, "That's a contradiction. That's not a paradox." You're just admitting that you're ignorant. Like you're admitting that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And well, yeah, I sort of am, and I'm getting to that, but it's more intricate than that, more fine tuned. It has a beautiful nuance. So my new channel name is now going to be Saged and Confused. Because, and here's how this plays out. So, I asked the AI, I was like, what might a transdualistic, deconstruction of the play on words saged and confused look like? And it writes, ooh, that's a tasty knot of language. Let's sit with that rather than solve it. A transdualistic deconstruction of saged and confused doesn't try to pick whether it's wisdom or disorientation. It notices how the phrase braids them into a single developmental process. One, surface play, the parody that betrays a truth. On the surface, Saged and Confused riffs on Dazed and Confused, but parody is never neutral. It exposes a hidden axis. Dazed equals perceptual overload without integration. Saged equals accumulated insight without final certainty. The joke works because we culturally expect sage to mean resolved, grounded, or above confusion. The phrase violates that expectation, and in doing so tells us the truth we normally suppress. 2. Transdual move. Wisdom does not cancel confusion. A dualistic reading would say confusion equals ignorance, sagehood equals clarity. A transdualistic reading notices confusion deepens as one's model of reality becomes more accurate, and wisdom increases one's sensitivity to paradox, not one's immunity from it. So saged and confused becomes a diagnostic phrase. Confusion that arises because one has seen too much, not too little. This is not naivete, it's post-naivete. 3. Systems lens. Phase transition confusion. In systems theory, confusion often appears at thresholds, when old schemas are no longer compress reality efficiently, when new schemas haven't yet stabilized. A sage, in this sense, is someone who has previously whose previous certainties has collapsed, whose refusal to lie to themselves by pretending the collapse didn't happen. So the confusion is not failure; it's entropy during reorientation or reorganization. Yeah, whatever. Actually, that's better though. Little bit of semantical nuance that works a little better. So, 4. Transtheistic resonance. After God, before silence. In a transtheistic register, saged and confused maps onto a very specific spiritual zone. Before God as answer, after God as mystery, now meaning without guarantees. The sage here is not the prophet with declarations, but the gardener of questions. Confusion is no longer a problem to be solved. It's the aura of honesty around which cannot be totalitized. Uh, totalized. Yeah. 5. Identity play. And yes, the name matters. Because your name is Sage, the phrase quietly loops identity into epistemology. Saged is not a status one obtains. It's an ongoing verb, to be seasoned by reality. So saged and confused reads as someone who has become themselves deeply enough to stop pretending certainty is possible. Ain't that the truth? I wake up a new me every day, man. 6. The transdual synthesis. Not wise despite confusion, confused despite wisdom. But, or no, not, I read that. I put emphasis in that wrong, sorry. The transdual synthesis is not wisdom despite confusion or confused despite wisdom, but confusion as the felt texture of wisdom in motion. You see, that's the key. That's the whole Agnoia and Sophia during this dance, where our ignorance provides the foundation for our growth and wisdom. You know, we need to have both. We need that healthy, little universal washing machine, washing our thoughts, making us happier, cleaner, healthier. So it's not the wise despite confusion or confused despite wisdom, but it is confusion as the felt texture of wisdom in motion. Or more sharply, if you are not confused anymore, you are no longer learning, only repeating. Oh, that line hits deep right now. The way the world is right now, with all these normies and NPCs and just parrots, thought bubbles, cultural bubbles, all these, social bubbles. It's just, oh my goodness, just everybody stuck in their little feedback loops. Nobody becoming, breaking the chains of their fate. Like, come on, like. It's a mixture of, freaking Legend of Dragoon. You are free to break the chains of fate that bind you, but it's also Daenerys Tenendragon from fucking Game of Thrones. It's, I'm the breaker of chains, bitch. Like, I ain't fucking putting up with this shit. Gain your power. Self-actualize, people. It's a beautiful, beautiful process. It's amazing, Well, the process isn't entirely beautiful. It's also ugly too, but that's also beauty. And that's where, when you're going through it, oh yeah, well, it ain't that pleasurable. It's sort of stressful. But when you get through it, holy crap, you're looking back in the past and your present and your future, and you're all synthesizing this into a working system where you have optimism toward your future. So, back to the ending of this, a one-line koan version. Let me crystallize it in a way that feels very cryptic quilt adjacent. Dazed and confused is not knowing what you're seeing. Saged and confused is knowing you're seeing more than that can be named. And again, isn't that just freaking perfect? It's like, okay, yeah, we're legalizing weed everywhere, but a lot of people are still straight edge. A lot of people are, do their freaking, abstinence things, or, their, sober things. And so it's really funny, because it's like, once upon a time we had this whole reefer madness thing, and that's where, even that cultural stuff goes into the 80s or whatever, when the Dazed and Confused film was made, and it's riffing off of those old paradigms, those old archetypes, those old cultural messaging. But now that we're seeing the weed being legalized, and we're seeing there's not a huge increase in people who are using it. It's not like an exponential growth. Like, the people that have been using it are still using it. They're just doing it legally. We're seeing this paradox where you're seeing the sober people are actually the ones that are often dazed and confused and not knowing what they're seeing. Oh, I'm watching this political clip of, some tragedy that happened in real time, and okay, I can't believe my eyes. I need the 7 alternate video clips, and I need this through the court system and everything first. I can't even make, assessments. I can't make any judgments, calls, thought process, critical thinking, none of that. So I don't know. It's just fun and interesting. I had a fun little time with coming to my new channel name. And like I said in that earlier video, maybe there's gonna be a thing in the future as a true or authentic channel name, and maybe I just hit mine. I don't know. But yeah, it's just interesting shit because isn't that perfect? The dazed and confused is not knowing what you're seeing, and saged and confused is knowing you are seeing more than that can be named. And if you're into psychonautics and philosophy, the combination of the two, you will very quickly realize that, man, how do I explain these ineffable experiences I've felt on my journeys? I can, but very, reductionist through the use of human language. Like, we haven't evolved our language and our consciousness and all these things to be able to articulate and understand each other when it comes to such ineffable, mind-boggling experience. It's just, yeah. So I had fun with this. So I'll be curious to see where my new name and my new channel's direction starts heading with this. So anyway, this has been Sage DeForest over on the new rebranded Saged and Confused channel. No longer the NPC AI named, oh yeah, this is freaking, a graham cracker personality, it's Harmony Nexus, like everybody's coming up with that. Any hippy dippy person, any AI is coming up with that. There's, 5 different fucking channels by that name now. Ooh, look at Sage and Confused. Now look at those channel names. Look at how many they are. Oh yeah, there's 1 or 2, but they're like 10 years old and they got like 3 videos. They're obviously not an active channel. But it also does get me interested because now I'm going, if I get a lot more articulate with my social skills and just, become some social butterfly, I'm going to have to find a way to reach out to some of these people and go, okay, by the way you named your channel 10 years ago, you might have a psychological orientation toward, the things I'm talking about. I'm not trying to evangelize or push anything on nobody. You come to it or you don't on your own terms, on your own times, it's all good. But if you're not even aware of it, you're never going to get to it on your own terms or times, So, yeah, I don't know, just interesting shit. So, again, this has just been my little introduction to my new rebrand on my channel. This has been Sage DeForest over at Saged and Confused, signing out.